Welcome to Israel Now News. I'm Rebekah Roberts.
And I'm Yochanan Elrom.
In our top story, U.S. Central Command has launched a major offensive operation against ISIS in Syria. This powerful strike came after the radical Islamic terror group attacked U.S. troops in the country, killing 2 U.S. Army soldiers and a civilian interpreter. Operation Hawkeye Strike was led in coordination with the Jordanian Armed Forces, and it involved major U.S. firepower. American F-15 Eagle jets, A-10 Thunderbolt attack aircraft, and Apache helicopters pounded 70 ISIS targets across central Syria and deployed more than 100 precision munitions against ISIS infrastructure and weapon sites. CENTCOM confirmed that over the past 6 months, U.S.-led forces in Syria have conducted more than 80 operations targeting terrorists who pose a direct threat to the United States and regional security.
Israel has signed its largest ever natural gas export deal with Egypt. This 112 billion shekel, or $34 billion agreement, will provide Egypt with Israeli fuel until the year 2040. The accord is expected to generate 8 billion shekels, or $17.9 billion in revenue. These funds will be directed to education, health, infrastructure, and security. It also includes direct infrastructure investments of more than 16 billion shekels. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu welcomed the agreement, saying it greatly strengthens Israel's status as a regional energy power, and it contributes to stability in the region and encourages companies to invest in gas exploration in Israel's economic waters.
U.S. Ambassador to Israel Mike Huckabee said that the disarmament of the Hamas terror group is absolutely going to happen. The American envoy said President Trump has been very clear Hamas must disarm and admit that it has no future in Gaza. He added the Trump administration, backed by the international community, is determined to make it happen. U.S. President Donald Trump has been consistent in demanding that the terror group be dismantled, warning that Hamas can either do it the easy way or the hard way. Time is running out for the terror group as the Trump administration moves forward with its plan to turn the Gaza Strip into the Riviera of the Middle East. Yochanan has more on that.
Yes, Rebecca, U.S. peacemakers have been dispatched to several nations to pitch President Trump's Project Sunrise. It's a proposal to turn Gaza into a luxurious, high-tech coastal destination. Project Sunrise is expected to cost $112 billion for the first 10 years. Experts predict that within a decade, 70% of Gaza's coastline will be monetized and could generate over $55 billion in long-term investment returns. Trump believes Project Sunrise could get underway within just a few months, and with America's help, Gaza can one day become the high-tech Riviera of the Middle East.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is reportedly planning to brief President Trump on Iran's attempts to rebuild its nuclear and ballistic weapons programs. Jerusalem has become increasingly concerned that the rogue Islamic Republic is expanding its ballistic missile production, which poses a grave and immediate threat to the Jewish state. Intelligence sources believe that if left unchecked, Tehran could ramp up production to more than 3,000 precision rockets per year. Netanyahu is scheduled to meet with President Trump at his Mar-a-Lago estate in Florida before the new year, where he is expected to present the commander-in-chief with options for renewed attacks on Iran's ominous weapons programs.
Palestinian leader Mahmoud Abbas praised the Hamas massacre of 1,200 people on October 7, 2023. He called it the greatest day in Palestinian history. A recent interview with Hani al-Masri from the Palestinian Center for Policy Research and Strategic Studies exposed Ramallah's real response to the Hamas genocide. Al-Masri said the Palestinian leadership celebrated the slaughter of innocent men, women, and children. Al-Masri warned that the Palestinian Authority continues to incite terrorism with its pay-to-slay program that rewards terrorism. This includes payments to the families of so-called martyrs, imprisoned terrorists, and those injured while attempting to murder Jews.
Iranian Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi has condemned Tehran's execution of a university student accused of spying for Israel. Pahlavi is considered the main Iranian opposition figure in exile and has called for peace accords with Israel once the Ayatollah's regime falls. In 2025, Tehran executed more than 1,000 people, and in the aftermath of Operation Rising Lion in June, Iranian authorities claimed to have arrested 21,000 collaborators. Human rights groups say that trials in Tehran lack due process and that the accused and their families are often tortured by the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps. Pahlavi decried the recent execution as clear evidence of Tehran's weakness. He said Ayatollah Ali Khamenei and his regime are taking revenge for their defeat in the 12-day war with Israel by murdering Iran's innocent youth.
The U.S. State Department has imposed sanctions on 2 international criminal court judges for their role in pursuing war crimes charges against Israeli leaders. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio said the sanctions are in line with U.S. policy that rejects the ICC's claims of jurisdiction over countries that are not party to the Rome Statute, including the U.S. and Israel. Rubio said these individuals have directly engaged in efforts by the ICC to investigate, arrest, detain, or prosecute Israeli nationals without Israel's consent. Secretary Rubio added that the United States will not tolerate ICC abuses of power that violate U.S. and Israeli sovereignty and wrongly subject Americans and Israelis to the ICC's jurisdiction.
Israeli Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich has announced penalties against the Palestinian Authority for burning waste. Arab villages throughout Judea and Samaria burn their garbage, polluting the air and causing environmental damage. Smotrich proposed confiscating Palestinian garbage trucks and hiring contractors to dispose of the waste properly. The cost for this program would be deducted from PA tax revenues collected by Israel. Smotrich said the PA must either remove its waste properly or pay for Israeli intervention.
The Israeli man who bravely confronted one of the Bondi Beach terrorists as he opened fire on crowds of Jews remains in critical condition. Geffen Biton was shot multiple times while trying to subdue one of the gunmen. The 30-year-old Israeli national had attended the Hanukkah candle lighting party at Bondi Beach when the shooters opened fire, murdering 15 people. Despite being out of harm's way, Geffen raced towards the gunfire in an effort to neutralize the attackers. Kay Barr, a friend of Geffen's, told the Morning Herald newspaper that Geffen Biton was not a mere bystander, but an absolute hero who deserves recognition.
Tech giant NVIDIA has announced that it is constructing a massive campus in Israel to mirror its iconic spaceship-shaped headquarters in Silicon Valley. NVIDIA confirmed that it purchased a plot of land in Kiryat Tivon, just 10 miles southwest of Haifa, for its massive project that will accommodate 10,000 employees. The U.S. chip giant also announced plans to construct the largest server farm in Israel, spanning over 320,000 square feet in Mevo Carmel. NVIDIA founder and CEO Jensen Huang said Israel is home to some of the world's most brilliant technologies and has become NVIDIA's second home.
The Israeli cabinet has voted to grant official status to 19 Jewish communities in Judea and Samaria. This announcement came on the heels of the final legalization of 8 other towns in the biblical heartland. It's important to note that 2 of the communities, Kadim and Ganim in northern Samaria, were evacuated in 2005 during the disengagement plan.
Jews around the world are preparing for a day of fasting and mourning to mark the beginning of the Babylonian siege on Jerusalem that occurred more than 2,600 years ago. This Tuesday's December 30th coincides with the 10th of Tevet on the Hebrew calendar. The book of 2 Kings, chapter 25, details Nebuchadnezzar's attack on the city of Jerusalem on the 10th day of the 10th month of Tevet during the 9th year of King Zedekiah's reign in 588 BCE. The siege ended with the destruction of Jerusalem and the first temple, and it also marked the beginning of the exile. Jews around the world will observe this day by fasting and reciting additional prayers for forgiveness, known as slichot.
That concludes the news portion of our show. Stay tuned for Ask the Source with Josh Reinstein.
Hello and welcome to Ask the Source. I'm your host, Josh Reinstein. We're here in our beautiful studio in Jerusalem. My guest today is Steve Leibowitz. He's the president of American football in Israel. Steve, thank you for being on the show.
Good to be here, Josh.
Tell our viewers a little bit about what is American football in Israel.
It's grown to become a community of 2,000 people. It started out as a group of friends back in 1988, and it's grown to become tackle football leagues, flag football leagues for men, for women, national teams that have reached the podium and have gone up onto the national stage. So it is all over the country. What began as basically a bunch of American immigrants and their kids has grown to something that we say Hebrew in the huddle, meaning that most of the players are Sabras, are Israeli-born, and you need Hebrew in the huddle in order to understand one another because they all are Israeli.
The NFL is going to the playoffs now, but things are just heating up for football in Israel. What's going on right now?
We're mid-season with our tackle leagues, the high school leagues, and the adult leagues, so there's games going on all over the country. There are flag leagues that are operating all over the country, and our national teams are beginning to look at preparations, our men's team, for the World Championship, which is going to be taking place in Germany this summer, in Dusseldorf, with a real chance to qualify for the Olympic Games in 28 in LA.
It's really unbelievable. You know, all my boys played in the league,
Yes.
Kraft Family
They still
Stadium.
do.
And it used to be a thing where a lot of the players on the teams were American, like my kids, American Israelis. But now, most of the players who they're playing with are Israeli. How did that happen?
It's a geographic thing because in Jerusalem, most of the players tended to be American immigrants, big immigrant population and their kids and so on. But once it pushed outside of the city limits into Tel Aviv, into Kiryat Ono, and we're talking about teams in Haifa, teams in other areas in the north, teams down in Beersheba, all over the country, there's now American football. It's the 5th largest sport in the country.
But the question is how? How did it go from a country that only cared about soccer and basketball to this whole grassroots movement of people playing American football?
The NFL helps. The exposure that exists for everyone on their television sets. There are a lot of sports fans here, and a lot of people have become fans of the NFL. So naturally, some of the young people that watch while they're growing up, and they get interested in that sport along with the NBA and other sports, and they say, hey, I want to play. A lot of guys actually use it as preparation before combat for the Army.
Not only do we play football, we're actually pretty good at football. You mentioned before that we're in line to go to the Olympics even in our flag football and our tackle football. How did we get so good?
Our biggest sponsor, Bob Kraft, would say to me that, the bar mitzvah is the time when the Jewish boy realizes that he has more chance of owning an NFL team than playing on one. But the fact is that we've both vowed not to retire until there's an Israeli player in the NFL, and I don't think we're that far away. We've gotten Israelis to play college football on a Division II level mostly. None have yet reached the level of NFL. But yes, we're developing, we're getting there. Our flag program has been on the international map for about 15 years now. Our men are now ranked 9th in the world. We have a real chance to get in the top 6 that are going to eventually qualify for the Olympics in LA. We're heading there. We believe we're going to get there. and we're going to get there.
There's a lot of international attention for football in Israel. We saw Bob Kraft bring the gold jackets here and all the former Patriots. But just recently, the quarterback of the Miami Dolphins, Tua, said that if he could play anywhere in the world, he'd want to play in Israel. What does that mean?
Tua, if you can see this message, let me say you would be most welcome over here. I've let everyone here in Israel is aware of the comment that you made after that international game. I believe it was in Madrid, that you'd love to come to Jerusalem. But if a game, an NFL game, comes to Israel, you would have a lot of fans in the stadium to see you. And I would hope that it would be against Bob Kraft's Patriots. But that's just me. I haven't asked Mr. Kraft about it.
Well, that was my next question. Have you talked to Bob Kraft of having a real NFL game here? There's games in Brazil. There's games in Madrid. Why not in Jerusalem?
Well, I can give you a bunch of reasons, but the war certainly is one right now. Back in the day, I was investigating, before any of these games would come to Europe, the idea of having an NFL exhibition game here, and actually got to the point of having some contact with the Patriots and also with the Steelers at the time, with Rooney's family. But there wasn't a facility that was large enough to accommodate. That would be I would say, the largest problem now. Tua wants to come to Jerusalem. Well, Teddy Stadium's the biggest facility, and it's got 30,000 seats. That's not going to cut it for an NFL international game. And if you look outside of Jerusalem, to greater Jerusalem, let's say to Ramat Gan, so you can find a place with 60,000. But then you have to fit it to the exact specifications of the NFL. I don't see it happening in the next couple of years. We will be in the Olympics in LA 2028 before there's an NFL game here. I'm sure of it.
Steve, there are literally tens of millions of people watching this show. What message do you have for our viewing audience?
The message is that our players changed uniforms on October 7th, just over 2 years ago, from their team uniform into their Army uniform. They went and they served, a lot of them for over 200 or 300 days sometimes. Then they changed back into the team uniform. They represented Israel well. The team qualified for the World Championship, which is going to be in Dusseldorf this summer. And we know that we have a chance to reach the podium and qualify for the Olympics. That's my message. Support Israel, support American football, and go Israel.
Thank you, Steve, for being on the show. And thank you for tuning in to Ask the Source. I'm your host, Josh Reinstein, wishing you a happy New Year's. Now back to the studio.
And now the truth from Zion.
Reza Pahlavi visited Israel in April 2023. He's the exiled Crown Prince of Iran, the son of the last Shah, and a widely recognized opposition figure who advocates for a secular democratic system chosen by Iranians in a national referendum. He came at the invitation of senior Israeli officials and said he was bringing a message from Iranians to Israelis. Hostility from the regime does not speak for the people. Among opposition figures, he is widely known across generations and communities. He has laid out a clear, limited program focused on a national referendum, a short transitional charter, equal rights under the law, and competitive elections. For many Iranians at home and in the diaspora, as well as partners who want stability, Reza Pahlavi represents the best hope to lead a future Iran into a new era once the fanatic Islamic rulers currently clinging to power have fallen. Upon his arrival in Israel on April 17th, Pahlavi attended the National Holocaust Remembrance Day ceremony at Yad Vashem. The visit placed historical truth and respect at the start of the trip. After the ceremony, he met curators and educators who described survivor testimony programs, archival presentation, and international partnerships that keep records accessible to scholars and the public. The next morning, Pahlavi visited the Western Wall. He placed a note in the crevice of the wall and offered a brief prayer. The images from the plaza were carried by Hebrew, Persian, and English news outlets throughout the day. Later that morning and into the afternoon, he met with Israeli officials, including Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Senior Cabinet Minister Gila Gamliel.
I was honored to host the Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi in Israel. His visit gave a glimpse into what a new relationship between Iran and Israel could look like.
The discussions covered conditions inside Iran, including protest, arrest, and the risk faced by women, students, and minorities. Also on the agenda was the need to stop the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps from exporting violence through proxies in Lebanon, Syria, Iraq, and Yemen. The Crown Prince revealed that many Iranians view Israel as a potential partner when politics no longer blocks contact. Israeli counterparts outlined regional security priorities, the defense of civilians, and the value of maintaining open channels with a credible Iranian opposition figure. Technical briefings followed on the Mediterranean coast. He toured a large desalination facility and heard how Israeli utilities combine seawater desalination, wastewater reuse, leak control, and national-scale drip irrigation to keep cities and farms supplied. He visited technology hubs where startups and researchers work on sensors, filtration, cyber protection for utilities, and medical devices. The conversations focused on how proven tools move from pilot to scale, as well as certification, service networks, and data security. Pahlavi spoke with university-affiliated teams and municipal engineers who outlined joint projects that link labs to field installations in water, public health, and emergency services. Community meetings rounded out the day. Reza Pahlavi met Iranian Jewish families who built new lives in Israel and who still keep Persian language and customs at home. He listened to memories from Shiraz, Isfahan, and Tehran. He thanked elders for preserving Iranian culture and commended younger people for serving in the army. Media interviews gave Crown Prince Pahlavi a direct channel to viewers in Iran and abroad. He set out basic positions without prescribing outcomes. Iranians should choose their system by referendum. The state should be secular and democratic. Women and men should have equal rights under the law. Minorities should be protected as full citizens. And relations with neighbors, including Israel, should be normal and open. The immediate results were visible. Israeli news outlets covered the itinerary. Persian language media replayed the Yad Vashem and Western Wall footage. Clips from the desalination tour and technology briefings circulated widely. The trip established a public record of engagement. A widely recognized Iranian opposition figure publicly standing at Israel's central landmarks, meeting with Israeli professionals and elected officials, and speaking to Iranian-Israeli families and students in broad daylight. The visit showed that practical cooperation and respect can move the conversation forward without theatrics, attacks, or demands. From Jerusalem, this is The Truth from Zion. Up next, the ICEJ report from the International Christian Embassy, Jerusalem.
Since 1980, the International Christian Embassy Jerusalem has been a voice of Christian support for Israel and connecting the global church to the land of the Bible. Headquartered in Jerusalem, the ICEJ has taken practical action to stand with Israel, such as helping Jews return to their ancestral homeland of Israel, caring for Holocaust survivors, providing bomb shelters for vulnerable communities, fighting anti-Semitism around the world, and inviting Christians to discover Israel for themselves.
Hello everyone, today we're in Kfar Aza and I'm here with my good friend Orit Tzedekevich, and we are standing in front of a building that is going to be the new Music Therapeutic Center, Community Center in Kfar Aza. Can you tell us what's going to happen here and how things are moving forward?
Yes, okay, so I'm Roit. I was born and raised in this kibbutz, lived here for all my life until October 7. Now we are displaced in another kibbutz. We really want to rebuild the kibbutz and we want it to be very attractive. One of the things that came up with the ideas is to build a music center. It's very, very good for the healing of the children. All the education system heard about it and said, wow, yes, we want to do that. We want it to be part of the healing process of the children, especially, but also for older people. So there is a building here. that was actually was a pub until October 7, but now everything is going to change. So they gave us, the kibbutz had the meeting, and they gave us this building. They said, okay, this is where you can put the music center.
Yeah, wonderful. So maybe you can show us a little bit inside and we can get people a bit of an idea. This is a place that needs a lot of renovation, and we're so grateful for our friends around the world who are willing to help, because this is something that's going to be a very healing place for the kibbutz members going forward.
Yes.
Yeah.
Kfar Aza suffered the loss of 64 of its members, with many kidnapped on the 7th of October. These tragic events left this tight-knit community devastated and grieving. In light of this, they recognize that they'll be dealing with trauma for years to come and have decided to repurpose this building to meet that need. This area will be transformed into individual and group music therapy rooms with the help of friends from around the world. The center will also include a recording studio, a sheltered space, as well as a performance hall.
But if you want to have life in these people, in this place, for music, it's a very good solution.
Dear friends, you can see that the emotions are still very, very powerful. It's very, very difficult. And it's really important to have friends around you in tough times, and that's what we want to be. Friends who are here to stand with Kfar Aza and other residents in the South as they rebuild. And I just want to say thank you to all of our friends who have given, and to all those who are still coming to join with us in this massive effort. God bless you.
After Hamas brutally attacked Israel on October 7, 2023, the ICEJ has been actively standing with Israel and her people through advocacy and urgently needed aid projects. Now is the time for Christians to turn their love for Israel and the Jewish people into real action as never before. Your donation will help in various relief projects for families, businesses, and whole communities in this ongoing recovery process. You can help deliver bomb shelters to at-risk areas, provide necessary supplies for first responders, provide trauma care to those shaken by the conflict, and help the hardest hit areas renovate and rebuild their communities. Visit ICEJUSA.tv to donate online or call 1-800-910-6355 and give your generous gift today.
That's all for this edition of Israel Now News. I'm Rebekah Roberts, wishing all of our viewers a happy, healthy, and successful new year.
And I'm Yochanan Elrom, reporting from our studio in Jerusalem. Join us again next week for all of your Israel updates.